Right, well, here's Cura open. I'll let you see the settings here. Layer height 0.06, shelf thickness 0.8. Enable retraction, yes. Have that enabled. And here's the setting. I have enabled combing on all for this print anyway. Print speeds, temperature 190. As I said, bed temperature set to 0, and I have it touching on the build plate. That's for the support. There's the type of supports. No brim adhesion on this model. I do on the pins. On the pins I've put like a brim on the pins because they're wide and high. Diameter set to 170. It is 175 classes, but that is the measurement. Nozzle size 0.4 on an E3D version 6. Advanced. I'll let you have a look at this. I do not have a cooling fan on. The only cooling fan on this printer is on a E3D version 6 hot end. Look at this. I'll just show you this, but I do not have a cooling fan on this print at all. Plugins not really used. Start and end code. This is where sort of just after this G29 here in the start code I did have a G28X, which I think was supposed to home like down here. I had that, and that was supposed to move the carriage left, but that also wiped out the auto leveling map. Okay, so I've changed this to G1X0, which moves it left. It was going, as you've seen, a bit slow, so I can do an F command in there to move it a bit faster. I'll just go on to all these full expert settings. I'll let you have a look at these. So there's all the settings in Cura. I think that's all the settings. Machine type is this Protomaker Sprint. I am printing one at a time in Cura. And basically, those are all the settings. Let me show you the preferences. Oops, I can. Yep, there we are. Just more out of curiosity. I don't have a price set up in here. So I saved the G code onto an SD card, which I put in the LCD 12864, and I plug that into there, and I run direct from that SD card controller. Basically, that is a G code. Okay, so that's a look at most of the settings in Cura I use. Okay, I'm about to try a print using the LCD 12864. This is what is known as the main belt drive for the feeding mechanism I'm trying to put together. Now I did print this out earlier and it came out with quite a few blobs and loops on it, but this has now been sliced in Cura, so I've just turned it on a few moments ago. And oh yes, I'm asking for 0 bed temperature, so I'm asking for 0 bed temperature here, like, so that's just going to be ambient temperature. I was worried there because I didn't see the heater warming up on the display. Turn these other lights off a bit. So you see the hotbed here is set to 0. It's at about 18 degrees. It's raising the hot end temperature just fine. I'm asking for 190 in Cura for the hot end there. Printing in PLA blue painter's tape that was originally cleaned off with isopropyl alcohol. Zoom out a little bit. Also move the camera back and zoom in because I think the focus on this camera can be a little bit iffy sometimes. Where it's on this BLTouch which I'm using, which I would recommend. Seem a bit out of focus there. So it's come to 190 now, so it should be starting. There we go. I'm still waiting to change the bearings on here. I did try some of these sort of plastic type bearings, but they were wobbling. It seemed to make a bit of a noise, and I think it's the bearings. I hope it's the bearings because I've ordered some more. And here you see the BLTouch in operation. So it goes down to the home position. And now it will go through its 9 points, which is set up in Marlin for the bed leveling routine. Now, there's a couple of things I want to check here, that after it's done this auto bed leveling, does it move all the way left? Which I'm hoping it will do. And I also need to check that it is actually working on the auto bed leveling as it's printing. Because before I did have a G28X to move left after doing all this auto leveling, and doing that G28 part X after the bed leveling seemed to, well in Marlin, seemed to wipe out all this memory that it's getting here. It's getting all the heights of the bed here when it's probing, and then it can allow for different heights in the bed when it's printing. And this should actually move up and down. This is like the Z axis there, the threaded rod there to move up and down. So that should move up and down while it's printing as the bed's moving. And when I did a G28X, which moved the head left, it wiped out all the memory, all the storage in the map that's making of this bed height in different places, if you can understand that. But now I'm doing a G1X0. Now I'm pretty sure I've got what's known as absolute set. So just now it should be moving left. Is it going to do it? Yes, it does. A bit slow, but it's doing it. I can obviously speed that up by changing the feed rate, just using some long nose pliers to remove some of the nozzle loose there. And now it should start coming in for this print. So it's PLA imprinting that. 190 is the temperature of the nozzle. Printing on a non-heated bed with PLA, so that's 18 degrees. Oh yes, I'm asking it to print in the bottom left hand back corner there. Can't see any plastic coming out at all, but it's just starting now. This is one reason I'm asking for a skirt. I am asking for 2 layers of skirt there. And by asking for a skirt, it does get the filament flowing, and it gives you a chance to check how well it's sort of squishing down here. Seems to be squishing quite well. Seems quite faint over this left hand side and stronger on this right hand side. Let's watch the next layer axis. So this is about a 6-hour 10-minute print according by Cura. So obviously I will be putting this onto time lapse, because you don't want to spend 6 hours 10 minutes watching this go through its print routine. Let's watch it get started. Make sure everything looks like it's going reasonably okay. Looks like it's layering. Might be a little bit flat, that, for the first layers or so. I do recommend this BLTouch. It saved me a lot of work because I had to do it manually before I had this. I can make a switch on an arm that I could swing up and down, and that was a lot of mucking about. So this does have overhangs on this sort of gear wheel, which is like a belt drive, the main belt drive for a feeding mechanism, but I am asking for supports. Now in Cura, I think there can be problems with the supports, that they can leave a bit of marks on after you're finished. I think that's what it's done now, is actually see that cross hatch there, particularly on the right, that's like for the support. And the supports I'm asking for is just touching the bed. The pattern over this side seems certainly wider than the pattern over this side, and it seems like it's like a bit thicker to layer. Yes, it is actually, now it is actually allowing for the bed level. So here's the Z axis. See how that's turning slightly? So it's gradually raising and lowering the bed. Well, sorry, not the bed, the Z axis, as the bed itself is moving and the carriage is moving, to allow for any out of level bed. So that is now working. So don't put a G28 command after you've done the auto leveling. That's what I would say, because that seems to lose the map that it makes of the bed level, so to speak, if you can understand that. Bed tramming, they should call it, because we're not leveling the bed. We're moving the Z axis, this like 2 bars here, 2 rods up and down slightly, to allow for any outer kilter bed as it's printing. Both are, obviously this one is just connected in a way to the other one, the one on the left over there, and that is also adjusting. Oops. Anyway, this is about a 6 hour 10-minute print, so that's a long time, because I am asking, I believe, for 80% infill, and reasonably quite fine on the feed thing there. I want it to come out as well as possible and be as strong as possible, because it is a belt drive. It's going to take some forces. I could have lowered the infill, because 80% is near enough for 100%, to be honest with you, in my opinion anyway. I'll just let go a little bit longer at the normal video speed here. As I say, those like squares that are for the supports seem certainly wider than these ones here. Okay, I'm going to put it on the time lapse just now. I have to turn the camera off to do that. There'll be no audio on the time lapse. So back to normal speed on the video, and you can certainly see where the supports are going to be on this part, because it does have a bit of overhangs. Really, the design possibly could be changed a bit to do a bit of a better angle there, so you could cope with that angle without having to do support, so to speak. Like put a 45-degree angle on it or something. I was expecting this to start warping, because I am doing this on a cold heat bed. This is a heat bed, but the temperature is not turned on. It is at 24 at the moment. That's the reading on the display. That is basically not set to any temperature. And as you see, the Z is still working there, allowing for any out of kilter sort of bed level. So I certainly do recommend auto leveling, particularly if you have a bit of a bigger bed. This is my BLTouch, which I would recommend. Smooth rods I am using, optical smooth rods, these are known as. I would also recommend them. I am using a boredom system, so this is the whitish pipe coming over here. The filament just goes up to the feeding mechanism under here. It's going in at a bit of an angle, not really, probably ideal, but it works. So this is a belt drive feeding mechanism, which I would also recommend. My other feeding mechanism was absolutely terrible. This is a heat bed this, but I don't have the temperature on. Going on to blue painter's tape here, obviously, which was cleaned off with isopropyl and alcohol. I'm printing in the corner, so I'm not printing all in one place. I don't think that's been printed on in that corner before, and that's why it might not, so far as I can tell, it's not warping. The temperature of the nozzle is 190, printing PLA 1.75 black, of course, although that did measure, and it does measure more, neither 1.7, which I have set in Cura to 1.7 obviously. Seems to be going quite well. Last famous words. I'll just start zooming back in, and then I'll go back to doing the time lapse. Back to standard speed on the video now. Seems to be printed quite well. If you notice, there's no real infill there. It is set to 80%, so as I know. You can see some of the support around the edge, hopefully, when the light goes on it. It hasn't started curling yet, or warping. One of the things, if you print a high percentage, it's more plastic, it's more heat going into the part, and that can lead to warping. This is on blue painter's tape on a cold bed. It is at 24 degrees on the bed, according by the display. The nozzle's at 190. Printing with a E3D version 6 hot end, 0.4 nozzle on. And I do recommend that hot end, good hot end, I've got no problems with it. Using that BLTouch for auto leveling, and that is very good. Optical smooth rods, 8mm, those are spot on, those stopped like wobble on my Z-axis particularly. I do have a heated bed on this, but it's not turned on, and that is a 300 watt, 24 volts. As I said, printing on blue painter's tape. This part of the blue painter's tape hasn't been printed on before, and the blue painter's tape was cleaned off, well, washed down a bit, just lightly with isopropyl and alcohol. Using a belt drive feeding mechanism. Which is another recommendation. And I'll show you the spool of the plastic I'm using, the filament I'm using just now. This was sliced in Cura. I did print the same model out earlier. Well, I didn't have the spots on, but basically the same model. And it came with quite a few zits, bumps, warts, loops of plastic on it. see, this is the one. If it'll pull focus, just a second, let it turn pull focus. This is the one I printed out using slicer, particularly like around the edges here. This was printed without any support. You can see some of the like zits. Actually there's almost, well, there are loops of plastic here. And I hope that Cura, which I'm using now, well, that's what's used to slice this model, will stop that happening. Sorry about that going out of focus there, but that just gives you an insight. When it starts juddering, it's doing, I think it's doing the teeth that are on this part. Like this is a belt drive, so if this one goes out of focus, you see some of the teeth on that. This was done in slicer. As I say, we get quite a few zits and warts and bumps, and even loops of plastic on here. Going backwards and forwards, so it might be pulling in and out of focus. So that one was done in slicer. Loops, let's see if Cura does the same loops. This was done without any support. So it did stick well to the bed, leading to sense and tore up some of the blue painter's tape there. So this is the part I'm printing again, like a drive wheel for belt drive, for feeding mechanism. I can't see any warping on this part, on the bed, so that is good. Sometimes when you printing higher percentage infill, you put more plastic, well, you are putting more plastic down. But sometimes, because you put more plastic down, it's getting more heat in the part in that plastic, and that will cause warping, because you're getting different contraction rates to what you would get if you don't do quite such a high infill. See how it's juddering there? Because it's probably doing the teeth of this, like cog wheel, drive wheel for the belt. Okay, I'm going to go back onto time lapse just now. Let me zoom out a bit first, and then I'll zoom back in again. So you can still see that the Z is still allowing for any offset in the bed. So that is actually turning this threaded rod, which moves the Z carriage up and down as it's printing, as the bed's moving and the carriage is moving. It's adjusting the height of this Z axis here. So if the bed's higher in one place or lower in another place, because it's not totally level, which is quite hard to do, this will allow for it. And that was sensed by this BLTouch in Marlin. Right, I'm going to go back to time lapse. I've left this running and I've come down to have a look at it, see how it's getting on, and it's shifted. The whole print has shifted there. Sorry about the lighting here. I think I'll leave it to finish because it's really not got a major amount to do. Right, I've hit reset on the ramps. Move access, move the Z. There's quite a bit of warmth coming out my shoe box I have everything in. I can feel it. Let me have a look in here. This is voltage converter I have. I know what's causing the problems. Well, yeah, that voltage converter I have is hot. So what? Let me try and pull this off. Can I? Then it will rip the bed to bits. Okay, let me. Can I? Oh yes, that came off just about fine. So you see, these are the spots, and you can see that shift there. I think that's very bad. Let me see if you can see any zits on this, any bumps, lumps, zits, etc, etc. Well, it's not exactly the best, but so look how much that steps out of line there. It's almost like a double step as it's shifted. Right, another piece of junk plastic. Bed, not too bad I suppose. Few marks on it where the print was, just on the blue painter's tape there. Okay,